Many people stay inside during the coldest parts of winter. People in the Midwest, they're just built differently.
Yeah, in fact, there's an entire festival happening this week that celebrates all things winter. We caught up with celebrity chef Andrew Zimmern about the Great Northern Festival.
Well, the Great Northern Festival actually started almost a decade ago when co-founder Eric Dayton's father, then Governor Mark Dayton, summoned a bunch of civic leaders to the governor's mansion to explore ways in which we might promote what for Minnesotans is one of the most fun times of year if you engage with it and in it, and that is wintertime. If you participate in the outdoors, go for walks, cross-country ski, breathe in the cold air, go for a snowball fight, sled, you're then practicing what the Scandinavians do, which is enjoying the most treasured time of year for them. And so we had so many wintertime events. The idea was like, maybe we should link together the pond hockey championship, link together the our winter carnival and other festivals that happen between January and February. Out of that was born the Great Northern Festival. And it's a week plus of arts, concerts, lectures, talks, food events, outdoor events that all celebrate wintertime. Now, from a food perspective, where I come in, despite being the worst cross-country skier, I think, in the state of Minnesota, I find it absolutely fascinating that against the backdrop of sub-zero January temperatures, we are actually going to discuss how climate change is affecting and will continue to affect our food systems, not just here in Minnesota, but also in the 5 states that make up the upper Midwest, but also around the country and around the world. The Last Supper is one of my favorite events of the Great Northern Festival. During that Last Supper, we will be eating food, all of which may not be available a generation from now. From fruits and vegetables to we are serving salmon, to a lot of surprising foods that I don't want to give away. And it's not just the dinner that I think is so attractive for me about the event. It's the opportunity to engage all of the people who are there in the conversation about what climate is doing with our food system.
One thing that I love about winter and eating, and it gives you an excuse to eat more and eat a lot of chocolate because you're burning more calories when you're out in the cold.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, oh, it's winter. Guess what? Chocolate time. Yeah. The Great Northern Festival kicking off in Minneapolis tomorrow and is highlighting the way climate change is impacting our food.
Chef and TV personality Andrew Zimmern explains.
I think people are unaware that their favorite foods are threatened with possible extinction. We need advocates. We need to let people know that some of these even subtle changes like rainfall are radically affecting our food system. And as popular as oysters have gotten over the last 20 years in America, they are now being threatened all over the world because of the same changes that we're seeing in Apalachicola Bay. The foods that everyone sort of eats every day, grapes, not only for table grape consumption, but also for wine, chocolate, bananas, salmon. Salmon is always used as the example because, it's such a widely consumed fish all around the world. But the fact of the matter is that there are hundreds of species that are threatened by climate change. On the United States side of the Great Lakes, we've been taking wild perch out of the water for fish fries, to send to eastern cities to be ground up for gefilte fish. There are no more lake perch, example in Lake Superior, on the American side. None, zero, and they will never return. And the reason simply is that the ice has gone out practically a day earlier every single year for the last 30 years. And so we are, engaged in huge shifts in food culture when you're taking away the traditional Wisconsin Friday night fish fry, and you now have to, they're now frying halibut and salmon and cod, fish that is brought in from elsewhere instead of something that's local. The most shocking one to me that I think all Americans should be aware of, because it's happening in every climate zone in the United States, is the story of the rain that comes up from the Gulf and winds up in Minnesota. For a couple hundred years, the most productive oyster bed, some say in the world, but definitively in America, quantitatively, was the Apalachicola Bay oyster bed. It was, there were record numbers of oysters taken out of there, hundreds of processing plants and lining the coast in that part of Florida. Now there are no oysters in Apalachicola Bay, none. And the reason is a slight change in the aggregate amount of rainfall over the year created a situation where there was more salt in the water. With just a little more salt in the water, the oyster drillers, a tiny, tiny, tiny little aggressive predator, came in from saltier water into Apalachicola Bay, which because of the rain, historically for hundreds of years had less saline in it, and within a matter of a decade decimated the entire oyster population. There is no more oystering in Apalachicola Bay, and it's destroyed towns, families, businesses. There's one processing plant down there. They do not process local oysters, and they've turned the majority of their income comes from a restaurant. And around the world, we are going to be seeing more and more stories like this come to bear. Food prices are affected. I'm shocked whenever I see on the news that food prices are up, that nobody ever mentions the relationship of that to climate crisis. Over the next couple of decades, estimates are that we're going to be losing 20-25% of our tomato crop. That will only make things like ketchup and tomato sauce, things that families rely on as being inexpensive table items, pantry items, for them to help feed their families, those prices are only going to go up. So it really is yet another reason for people to be engaging with their municipal, state, and federal leaders, to be engaging with their neighbors on talking about climate change and labeling it as I believe it should be appropriately called climate crisis. I do believe this is an existential issue that we are not paying enough attention to.
It's time to get to today's hot topics. And one of Hollywood's it girls is in the hot seat, and it's all because of a cute recipe with a controversial ingredient. Reese Witherspoon used a recent snowstorm to create a sweet treat.
Makes sense.
Okay, so we got a ton of snow over the past few days. We decided to make a recipe. So first we scooped the snow into cups, and we added salted caramel syrup and some chocolate syrup, just because we like how they taste together. And we put it on top. And then we decided to add some cold brew just to have a yummy coffee flavor.
Oh my gosh, they're so good.
Gosh, that looked good.
It did, and Reese isn't the only one who loves to eat snow. Our own Jordan Steele couldn't get enough of it when he was in Buffalo last week. Where did Reese inspire you to?
No, I didn't realize she made that. I just pick it up. I mean, it's like being a kid. I mean, you eat snow. They just say don't eat yellow snow. I don't understand why there's a backlash on this. I guess because they say.
Well, let me tell you the problem.
Okay.
Here, let me give you the problem here. A lot of people pointed out that snow isn't a very clean ingredient, right?
Okay.
Because it contains bacteria, maybe some contaminants, pesticide, maybe pollution even in the air. So following Reese's recipe might not be the best thing depending on where you stand on that. By the way, we've reached out to Reese Witherspoon and we're hoping to get a
Tell
response.
her I defend her. I'm with Reese on this 100%.
Snow cream
Eating
is
snow
a thing.
is fine. There are people who bite their fingernails, eat those. What about just your fast food joint, right? I mean, you're saying I can't eat snow, but I'm allowed to eat a fast food joint or a candy bar? We know that's not good for you, all this processed food. I get it. There's all that stuff in the atmosphere. I get it. But
listen, that snow
it's like the
looks
inner
very,
child coming out.
Yes, and there's all sorts of different snow cream recipes that have been around for years and years and years. This is a thing that people have been doing for decades
and of
decades.
course, I guess that's what the internet is for, just to rile people up. And that's why she was getting all people are getting upset about it.
Reese, we'd love to have you on the show. We are Team Reese on this one.
We will make something.
Snow cream. Yes.
Snow cream with you.
Yes.
All right, second topic here. Diet changes are among most common for New Year's resolutions, right? Did you put one on your list? This year, people aren't just focused on losing weight or eating more vegetables. There's a new poll that found that 57% of respondents plan to make more ethical food choices this year. And more than half want to switch to a more eco-friendly diet. So you got a third most popular food goal was to limit red meat in general, which is also better for the planet. Animal products like dairy meat, or like meat and dairy use more resources and emit more greenhouse gases than any other foods. I don't know. I think I just put eat healthier.
Oh, did you? That was one of
Last year was eat more.
Eat more. Why'd you?
Just teasing. No, I'm just teasing.
Did you have a resolution of eating healthier? Because I thought it was like
kind
to
of
do
like just an
something
idea.
more with Kinlan or something. What was the resolution
yeah,
we
that
did?
was just preparing myself for what's to come when he has to transition from kindergarten or from preschool to kindergarten. That was more family. But in terms of my health, it was like try working out a little bit more.
Which you've been doing.
Yes, which I've been doing. Try to eat healthier, which it's really hard to eliminate pastas and breads because I love pastas and breads.
Everyone does.
But I'm trying my best to just eliminate that as much as possible. Just a little bit. It just takes a little bit.
I will say, I think you've been doing a great job.
Well, thank you.
Because I've been seeing what you're eating, and you've been telling me about working out with you and Danny.
I just need more snow in my diet.
Yes.
Fill this up. Your home was built to withstand the elements, but building homes also creates a lot of waste.
And that's why some builders are considering ways to create beautiful, sturdy homes out of materials that are usually left behind in the building process. Dr. Habib Dagher is the founding executive of the University of Maine's Advanced Structures and Composites Center, which has spent the last year testing sustainable homes. Thank you for being with us. Dr. Dagher, we spoke with you last year when you first created the BioHome 3D. What have you learned in the last 365 days?
BioHome 3D had a great workout in Maine over the last year. We've had some very extreme weather events. We had some significant snowstorms. We've had some extreme windstorms and also some extreme low temperatures. So BioHome 3D 2.0 went through, if you wish, its 1-year anniversary. And so far, so good. It's done extremely well through these extreme environments. So we're pushing forward to do BioHome 3D 2.0 moving forward.
That's amazing. And anybody in construction knows when you're in construction, there's a lot of leftover sawdust and wood chips. But you're actually using sawdust and wood chips as building materials. How are you doing that?
Yeah, in Maine, we have a large glut, if you wish, of wood waste in our sawmills. They used to go to the pulp and paper mills, close to about a million tons per year worth of that material. And that could allow us to produce close to 100,000 homes that are 600 square feet. So we're looking to figure out how do we use this waste to print homes with it. And that's what we've done. We've combined wastes with biopolymers and then used a large printer to print the home. And we did a 600 square foot home, what we should call BioHome 3D 1.0. And that's what we're talking about today.
That's incredible.
It is really, and they look really cool too on top of that as well. You talked about using all this waste to build these homes. Talk about the sustainability in that, because there's got to be several different ways that this is helping the environment.
Yeah, yes, indeed. First, the wood that we're using, it represents about 50% of the weight of the house. So that's wood waste. So we're locking the carbon into that house and not releasing it into the atmosphere. We're also trying to develop homes that have near zero waste during the manufacturing and production process. You know how much waste we take to the dump when we stick build a home. And in this case, we minimize the waste significantly. To give you an example, when you stick build a home, you have the windows and doors are actually the plywood's placed or OSB placed on the windows and doors, and you cut them out, and that goes to waste. In our case, we're actually printing the openings of the doors and the windows, so you don't have to cut anything out. That's an example of waste reduction.
And just curious about the cost differences between building a home traditional style versus a 3D printed style. Is there a big difference?
The jury's out right now because we're in the process of scaling things up, but we believe that we should be able to be very comparable to the cost of existing homes. And the big issue that we have in the U.S. and in Maine as well is we don't have enough people to build homes. There's not enough labor, if you wish, to do that. So this technology is going to allow us to make up for the lack of labor that we have and hopefully put more people, put roofs over more people's heads. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need more housing too on top of that. So hopefully this
Right.
is
Will
a
help
twofer
out.
there. Dr. Habib Dagher, founding executive of the University of Maine's Advanced Structures and Composites Center. Thank you for joining us. And it's cool
Thank you.
now, checking back a year later, to find out that it really is holding
working.
up to all the elements.
Well, and I wonder, like, I want to look more into it of like, if I live, let's say, in California, completely opposite side of where Maine is, can I literally order one because they print it at the facility and have
And
it
then
shipped, and then
ship
me
it?
build it like the way they would build it?
Well, that's what Google's
Be
for,
so
Jordan.
cool.
For more stories like this, check out Pattrn on the Weather Channel app, on Roku. You can also find us on these streaming channels.